Hi. I'm afraid I've got to come back straight away really after that last little share about how disappointed I was that I wasn't allowed to share my heartfelt journey out of depression because I mentioned things to do with the faith on various big depression websites. And I did mention that if people had if I'd been excluded because I was black or a lesbian or something, you would have stood up for me. Now it's this, I think, that's been misunderstood seriously, and I do need to clarify that. I was absolutely not saying in any way that I was racist. Anybody in my life would know it's quite the opposite. And neither was I saying that I had any sort of homophobia, because both these isms and phobias, they're not right, are they, in any way? I mean, no right-minded person would have an ism or a phobia. But I was trying to make the point that, it's now become so that sort of there is such a thing which hasn't been named yet, called perhaps Christophobia or religionism or something, where if you express your aspects of your faith that are relevant to wherever you're talking to, you're banned, and it was that was the point I was making, that I wanted us to be open in our sharing. I think it's so important that we are, and we can only learn about each other and different things if we are open. In the days when we had books, we'd always look up why somebody says something. Did they live it out? What are the references? But on the internet, anybody can say any old thing, and you don't know whether it's lived. You don't even know whether that person is really who they are or anything. And it worries me, this, and I feel that really, when we do listen to other people sharing on the internet, we need to just check out, are they actually living that life? I know even in things to do with the faith, I sort of, you tend to sort of look, well, what did the saints write? Because they lived and died it, didn't they? I know we can't be, we're not supposed to emulate anybody in that sense, because we're all unique, as I keep saying. In fact, going back to these isms and phobias, far from having them, I think the main problem with the world and with every person on the whole is that we don't realise how very, very special and unique and beloved we are in our deepest, truest self. It's true, the faith that I have, we are asked to refrain from certain acts in all areas of our lives, not just in the sexual area. But that's only because we're called to a deeper love, a deeper sort of living, and I think that's not understood really, And also we can't do that at all, I believe, without really a lot of help and grace from God, and that's why we have confession, because it's understood that we'll fall, we're weak. It's not our inclinations, whatever they are, that define whether we're trying to love deeply and can live according to our faith. It's what we do, isn't it? What we choose to do. We've got free choice, of course. And what I needed to say about this business about, everybody having a different opinion about God and everything, and you can't foist it on anybody, which I totally agree with. We should be open to sharing. I mean, that was the wonderful point that Jo Cox, bless her, was making, that we should be open to people of all different nationalities and backgrounds. I completely agree with that, and I believe this about religion too, of course. It's an important part of us, a spiritual part, however you express it. And I remember hearing a little saying from one of these Desert Father things, and he said, these blind people, we're all blind, aren't we? We're discussing God, the nature of God and gods or whatever, that sort of thing. And he said, I liken it to the 5 people standing around, 5 blind people standing around an elephant, and one of them, you know, when you can't see at all, you don't even know what direction you're facing. He wasn't even facing the elephant, and he put his hands out and felt, and he said, oh, there is no such thing as an elephant. And then he went even further and he said, anybody who says there is, you know, I'm going to sort of ban them. And then another person around the elephant is a blind man, and he's facing the elephant, but he's got hold of the tail, you know, and he says, oh, well, the elephant's a whip. It's definitely a whip. That's what the elephant is. And then another one at the front has got hold of the trunk, and he says, well, the elephant's a trunk, like a hose. That's what an elephant is. It's a hose. It's definitely a hose. There's no doubt about it. And then another one's at the side, and he's feeling the huge side of the elephant, and he says, the elephant's a builder, a big, great, big, huge leather building sort of thing. That's what it is. That is exactly what it is, I'm telling you. And then another one, the last one, is standing round the leg, and he's holding this leg, you know, touching this leg, and he says, well, the elephant's a column. It's a big column. You're all wrong. It's an absolute column. That's what it is. I mean, you know, what I'm trying to say is the actual elephant, if you like, God himself is greater than any of us can ever express or understand. But I do feel, of course, we all feel our own one has the fullness of truth, otherwise we wouldn't be in it, would we? But we must be totally open to complete respect of each other's belief or not to believe, because the main important thing that each person is totally and totally special and precious and beloved by God, and due complete respect, you know. And in this day and age, let's get rid of isms and phobias of all sorts, hey? Let's just do it. And I think that would be the modern way, wouldn't it? And I sincerely hope I haven't offended anybody. That was the last thing I ever wanted to do. And perhaps I have to conclude now that there's much more, like thousands and thousands of people down the ages, and today it's much more effective just to pray and do than it is to talk. Anyway, all the best, everybody, and anybody who's listened to this, thanks very much. You've not said much one way or another. In fact, I don't think anybody's said anything about anything I've ever said, but never mind. Thanks for listening. Okay, bye.